Top 10 Mysterious Unidentified People. People have a serious capacity to perceive designs, one of the interestingly tuned and sharpened capacities that has permitted us to turn into the most predominant species on Earth. At the point when we experience the obscure, we go ballistic apiece. From unidentified executioners, obscure casualties to pseudonymous craftsmen and tricky programmers, there are a lot of individuals who influence the world that we just don't have the foggiest idea what their identity is. We are on the other hand berated and charmed by this, craving to tackle the riddle, to precisely plan the scene of the real world. Here are 10 individuals that are presently minimal and excessive a problem to us, asking to be illuminated. 10. Shotgun Man. Mystery used to be a core value in U.S. sorted out wrongdoing hovers, instead of an ideal to focus on as it has become since the FBI started thinking responsibly. The standard of omerta, the pledge of quiet held by individuals from La Cosa Nostra, has demonstrated to be a helpful weapon in fighting off catch and conviction for their individuals. No place is this more clear than the desirous guarding of the character of a shotgun-using professional killer who went after Italian outsiders in 1910 Chicago. The Shotgun Man was the very encapsulation of the Grim Reaper. He was in the utilize of alleged dark-hand mafiosi, a gathering of blackmailers who applied their impact over the city until one Al Scarface Capone combined force 10 years or so later. Between January 1910 and March of 1911, this baffling shooter killed 15 individuals around Death Corner, the convergence of Oak Road and Milton Road, taking care of 4 casualties in a 72-hour time span towards the finish of the binge. Due to the political, legal and clear criminal impact the Black Hand groups held in Chicago's Little Italy, no one talked, in spite of there being various observers for each murder. Bits of gossip have twirled for longer than a century, numerous individuals proposing the man was explicitly brought over from Sicily because of his utilization of a shotgun, the weapon of decision for mafiosi in the old nation. We'll presumably never know who the Shotgun Man was, however numerous individuals did. 9. The Bony Torso. Current people have gotten shielded from death, just experiencing it inconsistently and regularly with a friend or family member or a colleague who has progressed in age. Subsequently, finding a dead body will be an awful mishap. Finding some portion of a dead body could ostensibly be much more horrifying. Colin Oliver was walking along the street between Cookfield to Burgess Hill, England, a 4.5-mile schlep, on Friday 11th of October, 1991. He was a persevering warehouseman and, being in his 60s, Oliver needed to make a fast preoccupation into a forest close Bolney to take a whiz. There, in the undergrowth, enveloped by some floor covering, Oliver found a wicked middle. The perished was expected to have been a man in his 60s, his head and hands were eliminated, one arm was cut 2 crawls beneath the elbow with a hatchet or some jolt cutters, presumably to eliminate a recognizable tattoo. Ensuing work looking into it in 2011 has uncovered that the middle was most likely a man in his mid-30s/mid-40s, was somewhere in the range of 5 feet 6 inches and 5 feet 8 inches and was presumably from southern Germany yet had been in England for the most recent year of his life. 8. John 12 Hawks. 11 USA and somewhere else. His ongoing novel Sparkle has had the rights purchased by DreamWorks. So why all the look in Nobu? Indeed, Mr. 12 Hawks goes some approach to clarify this in his meeting with Stargate SG-1 maker Joseph Malazzi. My mom and the remainder of my family don't realize that I have composed the books. Those individuals I realize who aren't dear companions consider me to be a disappointment by the American principles of accomplishment. Being a disappointment in such a manner has been a non-stop exercise. It's helped me understand that we make fast decisions of others dependent on minimal genuine data. We expect so a lot, yet don't have the foggiest idea about the insider facts held inside the heart. God, I trust he's Shia LaBeouf. 7. Driffield. He was being investigated for assault and obscenity with a kid. It appears he had composed a novel which incorporated the maltreatment of a little youngster and had sent the original copy to the group of the supposed casualty. Xavier Driffield, the name he utilized at preliminary, was found not guilty. In the approach the preliminary, a few sources expressed that his name was BCM Driffield and David Richard Ian Frederick Field. Who the hellfire is this person? 6. Jane Martin. That is the point? Jane Martin's work is regularly portrayed as having a female voice, excitedly pampered with industry grants which all get acknowledged on his/her/its benefit by their agent, resigned imaginative chief John Jory. Since 1981 Martin has created dull comedies and parodies, numerous focusing on the more mockable parts of the dramatic world and the way of life. Specialists propose that the individual who has composed these plays must be an industry insider, given how pointed and exact their perceptions are. So, likely John Jory at that point. Or then again Shia LaBeouf. 5. The Hidden King. Here's one from the inaccessible past. This story has all the features of a wonderful chronicled riddle novel a la The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. During the 1519 to 1523 uprising known as the Revolt of the Brotherhood, the powers of the Aragonese overwhelmed Kingdom of Valencia were near the very edge of suppressing the renegade powers. One man, a messianic pioneer alluded to as El Rey Encobert, the Hidden King in Catalan, or essentially L'Encobert, the Hidden, assembled the floundering rebel powers and energized against the domineering royalists. Claiming a celestial order, this baffling man drove numerous guerrilla attacks and supervised encounters between the revolutionary powers and the royal armed forces. A weighty prize was offered to any man who could murder L'Encobert. During an enlistment drive on the edges of the city of Valencia, a spot L'Encobert trusted his powers would before long catch, a few riders dashed towards the man and, ceaselessly or getting off, remove his head to recover the abundance. There is a lot more to expound on this mind-blowing figure. On the off chance that you need more detail and are content with tumbling down a hair opening, a fast Google search will get you there. 4. Dolly Gray. To play in the NFL is straight up there with getting paperwork done for Manchester United, featuring in a Hollywood film or going triple platinum with your first hit tune. Presently, notwithstanding what numerous individuals will attempt to let you know, not every person can get well known or dominate in whichever field of try they think they are most appropriate to, in particular the truly difficult, fleeting, hyper-serious universe of professional athletics. Screw you is the thing that Jack Hart Gray, the ballsiest faker ever, would state to that NFL legend, player mentor and proprietor of the street. Louis All-Stars Ali Creahay was in a predicament during the 1923 season. His group was battling monetarily when he was drawn closer by a genuine hot possibility of a player, the All-American tight end from the unbeaten Princeton University group of 1922, Cart Gray. Creahay marked the youngster and stuck him straight in the group. To help plug the gaps in the releasing monetary septic tank that was the street. Louis All-Stars, Creahay exchanged Dolly to the Green Bay Packers. He sucked once more. This time, Dolly vanished. No one knows what his identity was, the place he originated from or regardless of whether he had ever played football previously. All I know is Jack Hart Gray adds new significance to counterfeit it until you make it, at that point flee. 3. Stoneman. There are numerous sequential executioners that are still everywhere, their character covered up, known uniquely by their press-produced or self-selected epithet. Many have presumably since kicked the bucket, taking their privileged insights to the grave. California has the Zodiac. New York has the Long Island sequential executioner. London has Jack the Ripper. Calcutta, India has the Stoneman. Compared to numerous sequential executioners turned, regularly convoluted, usual methodology, the Stoneman kept things basic. He'd locate a dozing vagrant, check around for witnesses and, when the coast was clear, pulverize his casualty's skull with a huge stone. Stoneman guaranteed around 13 casualties in Calcutta in 1989. A similar man is conceivably liable for 12 comparable killings in Mumbai between 1985 to 1988. Since 2009, there has been a spate of shockingly comparable killings in the city of Guwahati. Duplicate feline executioner? 2. Jim Browning. The alias by this Northern Irish programmer is, fittingly, suggestive of an obstinate sheriff, rifle close by, prepared to separate a raiding posse that compromises his town. That is essentially what Jim Browning does, yet in a 21st century way, of course. He lives someplace in Britain or Ireland, works a 9 to 5 presumably in IT and abhors tricksters, practically like every other person, yet this crusading contemporary knight has willingly volunteered to uncover and upset trick tasks. In 2019 he figured out how to hack the CCTV arrangement of an Indian trick ranch in Delhi and had the option to watch and hear the horrifying hardness of the staff as they conned and duped individuals. A few casualties, Browning lets us know, have lost their homes and even ended their own lives. Many are older and weak individuals. As opposed to the typical guidance with respect to trick guests, Jim recommends that, when seeing an obscure number on your guest ID, you should keep them talking as far as might be feasible on the grounds that when they're not defrauding you they're misleading another person like your grandparents. An unassuming legend for the digital age. Valentine Sally. We'll close this rundown with an interest for data. A portion of the past passages are engaging puzzles that may lead you to burrow further, wonder resoundingly and prepare fantastical theories. Possibly the diversion we get from speculating the personality of these cryptic outsiders proposes we may need them to stay unidentified. This isn't one of those cases. The starting yet unidentified homicide casualty known as Valentine Sally was discovered 25 yards off Interstate 40 in Arizona, U.S., on February 14, 1982. She has the right to have her name known, her friends and family merit conclusion and her executioners have the right to be brought to justice. It is likely that this unidentified young lady was murdered, hauled away from the expressway and unloaded close to a tree, laying there long enough for creepy crawlies and other rummaging creatures to deliver her face unrecognizable. Some observer explanations notice that the young lady had been at a couple of spots along the parkway in the days approaching her disclosure. A server at the Monte Carlo truck stop close Ash Fork, Arizona served a lady coordinating Valentine Sally's depiction, furnishing her with headache medicine for toothache. Valentine Sally had a bored tooth that recommends she was being prepared for a root trench. A similar server additionally referenced that the young lady was with a more seasoned man, perhaps a driver. For more information looking into the issue, it would be ideal if you look at her Namas page and follow the headings on the off chance that you have any tips.